The so-called Chinese virus originated from the 2019 Wuhan military games. These games occurred in October the 18th to the 27th over at Wuhan, Hubei, China. After the military world games followed with the month of November. And in November, that is when we found out about the first case of the coronavirus on a date of November the 17th of 2020. November the 17th adds up to 28. Now, the interesting thing about 28 is that it is corona that is translated to crown in Spanish and in Italian. It is the region of Italy that got affected by this. It's crown that has gematria of 28. What else developed from November the 17th of 2019? November the 17th of 2019 as a date numerology of 67. The significance of 67 is that this virus originated at Wuhan. It's Wuhan that's 67 and 22. This virus then spread it over to the Republic of Italia. It is Italy that equals 67 and 22. So these references that I talked before, this all is derived from the case of the first coronavirus on November the 17th. Likewise, you can check the amount of time that is left from November the 17th to the end of the year. 44 days until the end of the year. Now, the military created this virus. The military created this virus in a lab, and then they used the 2019 military world games as a pretext to have this virus begin in China. Number one, the Chinese people are unsanitary without a lack of regulation over food safety. It makes it easy to spread into China. There's over 1 billion people in China. This is a global economy, so Chinese people fly all across the world. This military game exercise is the true origin of where this virus came from. It was planted in a lab by the US military because the plan is to create a stock market crash in the United States military, and other intelligence agencies across the world may be involved in biomedical warfare, whether it be a plantation of a man-made virus that could be blamed on an enemy. So don't listen to Donald Trump when he calls this a Chinese virus. He's wrong. This is not a Chinese virus. This is the work of multiple countries all across the world. This is not a Chinese virus. This is a Wuhan virus because that is where the virus originated from. So don't listen to this racist, divisive rhetoric from Donald Trump because it is all meant to divide and conquer people. It is all to keep the country divided, and that's all Trump is trying to do as a puppet. So the 2020 stock market crash that would result from this Wuhan virus. We are going to get a 33-6 master number harmonizer healer as the president of the United States. The vice president is going to be the president of the United States. It's because Biden is going to pick Warren and Biden is going to contract the virus. Corona means to coronate, to crown. We have a first female president. We have a Queen Elizabeth that's going to be crowned as the first female president of the United States. That is the true nature of the events that are happening right now. Now, the first virus case in China was reported November the 17th. The amount of time from October the 17th to November the 17th, notice, is a time span of a month. This is close to 30 days after the final day of the military games. This gematria is where you're getting the reference of corona. It's because the first case was reported 30 days after the final day of the 2019 military games. I want you to notice that the beginning of the Wuhan military games, October the 18th of 2019, is a date numerology of 22. Perfect. Because that is where you're getting the origin of the crash in Lombardy, Milan, and Italy being affected by this crash. It's Wuhan that has gematria 22. This is why the military games began on October the 18th. And now the final day of the competition, notice, is the same date numerology because 18 and 27 add up to the same number. So you know there is a sinister plan at work. How about the province of Hubei? What is that gematria? Hubei has gematria 27, and this virus ended on the 27th day of the year. Hubei, China, has the same gematria as COVID, for instance, or the 2020 crash. Hubei, Wuhan, China. The grand meaning of this gematria reference is pretty complicated. Funny how in gematria it's US military, that's 147, and then you have Hubei, Wuhan, China, that equals 147. So this was definitely created in a lab. We have the Wuhan virus and 2020 stock market crash and Senator Warren, and then the US military all equals 63. Well, who created COVID? The answer is United States military. They're the ones who created this coronavirus. The virus, military lab 122. It's military lab and it's man-made virus, that's 50. Notice how it's the military and man-made virus that equals 140. It's no coincidence that the first case of the coronavirus occurred roughly a month after the coronavirus outbreak. And luckily, outside of the mainstream media, we have global research to tell us what has happened with this coronavirus. The origin of the virus is unknown. According to Chinese and Japanese reports, the virus originated elsewhere. It was Chinese researchers that said that the virus originated outside of China. Now, we cannot take the Chinese at face value for everything that they said, but the fact that the military games occurred and the virus occurred afterwards shows that there is a direct link with what was supposed to happen at the military games in the spread of this virus. According to Global Times, what did the Chinese say? The novel coronavirus may have begun human-to-human translation in late November from a place other than the Huanan seafood market in Wuhan. So, the military games, and then it hit the Huanan seafood market. So, let me go up here really quickly. Huanan Seafood Market has gematria 75. I want you to notice that that's the gematria of Hubei, Wuhan, China. Something sinister is at work. Let's continue. The new coronavirus was introduced to the seafood market from another location and then spread rapidly from the market due to the large number of close contacts. Patient 0 transmitted the virus to workers or sellers at the market, and then that is spread elsewhere. And I want you to notice that February the 22nd was the day that the stock market crash began in 2000. February the 20th this is, and I want you to notice that February the 20th is 22. I want you to notice that the outbreak occurred on the 22nd day of February for the spread of the coronavirus from the Wuhan market. But take a look at respiratory specialist Zhang Nanshan. This guy discovered the SARS coronavirus in 2003. He discovered SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome. And those with weak immune systems, they're going to suffer respiratory problems because of the coronavirus. This man, Zhang Nanshan, discovered SARS. It is Zhang Nanshan that has declared that the coronavirus originated outside of China, and I think he is speaking the truth. he has high credibility because he's the one who discovered the SARS outbreak. And because of this, this guy may have spoken out and revealed the truth about the true source of this virus. Chang Meng-Shang said that the first case, the virus originated outside of China. Copy and paste. And he is right. And it was supposed to happen outside of China. And right he is indeed. Because there is a TED Talk video of Bill Gates warning the world that the next war is not going to kill millions of people, but it was going to be a pandemic. That it was going to be specifically a virus pandemic. So this link I have right here, Bill Gates warning us that we should not be hoarding pasta or whatnot, spaghetti. It's an 8-minute video. It's not that long. It's not that long to watch, but he is a high credible expert in regards to this subject. This was independent conclusions. Mind you, this is not coming directly from China. It also was being conducted by Japanese researchers, and it came from the outside. How did they do this? They conducted a wide-ranging search for the origin of the virus, collecting 100 samples from 12 different countries, 4 continents, identifying all the varieties and mutations. They determined that the virus outbreak had began much earlier, probably in November, shortly after Wuhan military games. That it may have came from the outside. That this was created in a lab and maybe was transmitted from the outside within the country of China. This is according to Japanese media. Japanese Asahi News report claimed the virus originated in the United States and not in China, and that spikes of American deaths may have resulted from the coronavirus. And on the Daily Mail, I have seen some people who have said that they were unusually sick throughout the summer. So as far back as February the 14th, they said that they would be testing for this virus. We do know that this virus originated from the military games. U.S. officials confirmed 35 cases of the virus. That's the same gematria as China, for instance. China has gematria 35. So this was planted in the lab. The military wanted to spread the virus over there from America and its high population. This is the theory. This is what they did present scientific documentation, but it's just not covered from the mainstream media. They just didn't want to report that, or they just kept it silent. The Chinese referenced Japanese reports. Are Japan the whistleblowers on this? That this was all created in the lab. Japan, gematria 42 and 15. War, gematria 42 and 15. Female president in America, female gematria 42. Are we at war? Is this biological warfare with the Chinese? Many questions need to be raised. Many questions need to be asked. So Donald Trump, with this racist, divisive rhetoric, calling this the Chinese virus, diverting you away from being the so-called truther, defending Donald Trump, the military, stock market crash, Donald John Trump, the Chinese virus, Book of Revelation. This is all meant to divide. This is all meant to mislead. It's revealed that it's a Chinese virus. But is it a Chinese virus? Well, like I said before, it is only a Wuhan virus because it originated from Wuhan. Is this all planned for the billionaires' crash the stock market? All part of the grand sinister plan for a healer to help America recover from the virus. It has to be a female. Shang Nanshan, the man who discovered SARS. It's Nanshan. It's 2020 crash, COVID, China, as I've said before. How about the Wuhan 2019 games? Wuhan 2019, shocker, Warren. That would be equally shocking if she were to be the nominee. Democrat is 79 and 34. November the 3rd of the year 20 is a date. Numerology of 34. How is Trump going to handle this crisis? It's Shang that has gematria of 34, his last name. And you do know that Trump is a racist who's only trying to divide and conquer the American population as a puppet. And I want you to notice that it's V, that's the 22nd letter. Warren is born on the 22nd day. It's virus that begins with the 22nd letter. How about vaccinate beginning with the 22nd letter? It's military world games, that's 89. It's virus, that's 89. What is the whole agenda behind this other than a stock market crash? Because a stock market crash is what we're all getting from this. Shen Yi, international relations professor at Shanghai's Fudan University, stated that global virologists, including intelligence agencies, are tracking the origin of the virus. Even Taiwan virologists suggest that the coronavirus originated in the United States. This is not just China. This is not just Japan. This is Taiwan. Which military lab did it come from? So one of his main talking points that he had in his... he spends the first part of the video explaining the haplotypes, how they're related to each other, how each of them have come from the other. And then he says is that the type infecting Taiwan exists only in Australia and in the United States. So he's saying that this came from the United States. They could only have come from America if they were not infected by Australians. The geographical location with the greatest diversity of the virus, because there are 6 strains of the virus. All 6 of them are in America. Or it's actually 5. He said that the U.S. has all the 5 known strains of the virus. Wuhan and China have mostly 1. So you can imagine how this affects the rest of the world. This all originated from the Wuhan military games. It's true that China has suffered several pandemics. The bird flu in 2018, all of this that happened, luckily, China is not really sanitary, so they're most prone to this, and I think they knew this when they planted this virus. The most populated country in the world may not mean that it's population control. But what it's really all about is Chinese travelers spreading it to other parts of the world. So this is definitely a man-made virus that originated in a military lab in the United States of America. The stock market crash is coming. America is going to ask a healer to become president. These are such interesting times. And this is not a Chinese virus by any means.